Colonial beef curry. I've got 700 grams of diced lean beef from the chuck. I've got one onion which is finely chopped, and I've got another onion which is broadly chopped, coarse, in pieces like that. I've got 3 carrots, peeled and ready to go. I've got 2 potatoes. I might add another one to that, I don't know, I'll see how it goes. And for the rest of it, I've got 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, tomato puree, which is a concentrated tomato paste. I've got 3 cloves of garlic, which isn't going to be enough, so I've got some additional garlic granules here. Saves me going out to the shop again. Likewise with the ginger, I've got no fresh gingers. I've normally used 2 thumb tip size pieces of ginger in this recipe, but I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of ginger powder. I've got an Indian bay leaf. You can use a British bay leaf if you want. I've got 2 chilies which were previously frozen. These are what I'm going to use for flavour. They're not so hot. The heat comes from these birdeye chilies, these green birdeye chilies, and they'll pack a little punch. You can use fewer or none of those if you like. You don't have to add chili to this at all if you don't like. Got some panch poran to sweeten the oil before frying. I've mentioned the garlic granules. I've got some garam masala, which is a final flourish of sweet spices added at the end of the cooking process. I've got some curry powder, homemade curry powder, which I've just made, and I'm going to have a sniff of that because I'm addicted. There's no comparison between shop bought and homemade curry powder, trust me, just try it. I've got a recipe, and your recipe will appear up there, and I'll put it in the description below the video. These are carapili leaves or curry leaves. You can get them fresh, frozen from some Asian grocers, some Indian grocers, but I always buy them dried because they're then ready for me to use whenever, and you don't lose much in flavour at all. They're rather good. If you're lucky enough to live where they grow, then I'm sure you can just use a sprig off your tree, your carapili tree. I've got some ghee here. You can use lard, you can use ghee, you can use any cooking oil you like, but I'm using ghee in this instance. And I'll just get this all prepped up and ready to go. So into my food processor goes my finely chopped onions. That'll help them to break up easier. My tomato paste. My garlic. Now there's a reason I don't put my chilies in here right now, because these are particularly hot ones, and when that starts to fry I'll get gassed, so I'm avoiding that right now. I want 2 teaspoons of ginger powder, or my wet ginger goes in now. 2 thumb-sized pieces of wet ginger, so 2 of them. I like ginger with beef, it's particularly good. This is a kind of colonial style curry, so it doesn't really follow the norms of Indian curry making, apart from the way that I cook down or bunjay down the vegetables and the spices to begin with. After that it starts to look more like a European stew. So I'm also going to put in some curry powder. I'm going to want 1, 2, I want this very spicy, I want 3 teaspoons of curry powder in there. Because I've only got 3 cloves of garlic, I'm going to add some garlic granules. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of garlic granules, 2 level teaspoons of garlic granules. I'm going to give that a whiz. I'm going to add a little bit of oil to it and then give it a whiz. Okay, you see that's not breaking up very well, so I'm just going to drop in a shot glass full of water and then put it back in and get it ground up to a fine paste. So there's my paste, finely ground up. I had to tease it off the walls a couple of times and spin it a bit more, but got it down to this nice fine paste. Okay, into a hot pan, I'm using my cast iron. I'm dropping about 2 tablespoons of ghee. You can use any oil you like for this really, or lard. And we let that melt down a little bit. And then I just want to put in a handful of meat at a time. Maybe a bit more than that, just to cover the bottom. And we get that browned up. Although you don't see browning used very often in Indian cookery. It's more of a Western French style cooking thing. I sometimes do it and sometimes don't, but I think we can get along nicely with the extra flavour on this. And we'll just get all this meat browned up. And once it's browned up, we just lift it out of the pot and then continue with the next process. Okay, it's created quite a bit of smoke, but I've added a little bit more ghee to it, and in goes my curry paste. And then I'm going to add water to it later, so I'll swill that out with water before I do. And then we get this frying. You might need to add a little bit more ghee. Just add any extra ghee or oil that you need to. Alright, I had to change the camera angle a little bit there because the lens was getting a bit steamed up. And I've added a little water to it because it was getting very dry. And I'm getting it now to the point where all the moisture's coming off it and it's getting back down to frying again. So what you're waiting for is for it to fry down until the oil starts coming out of it again and it starts to separate, and you get a very characteristic sweet smell. And when you get to that stage, you need to put in just a little water, maybe half a cup, and stir it down again. Maybe a little more I'll put in. That's it. And I'm going to get that down frying again. And when it starts to fry, I'm going to add in a couple of carapili leaves. I should have added them right at the beginning to sweeten the oil, but it doesn't matter as long as they get fried. And a little sweetener of panch poran, about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon, something like that. Maybe a bit more, call it a teaspoon. And that goes in. That adds a little nice punch of whole spices to it all. And they're all edible. So you'll enjoy that. And we start to allow that to fry down. And that's now fried down for the second time. And that gives you that second day taste. I keep mentioning it. Those of you who watch all my videos, I do apologise, but for first time viewers, we achieve that second day taste. People always say that a curry tastes best, in fact most things taste best the second day. And this is how we achieve that day 2 taste on day 1. And that's starting to fry again, so now we can go back in with the meat. Stir it all to mix. That smells amazing, boys and girls. That does smell good. Right, now we want to top it up with water. You see that glisten now? That's really great. It's fantastic. Right, in with the water, and then need to top it up to the level of the meat. Good stir. And that's just about right. So at this stage we bring that back up to the boil and then turn it right down to a low simmer and then leave it like that for an hour. So there you are, it's coming up to the boil. Turn it down to a low simmer and cover it. One thing I'm sure you noticed, which I failed to, was my bay leaf. That needs to go in there as well. So that cooks down with the beef. Okay, a few minutes into cooking, and I'm adding just another tablespoon of tomato paste because I want to get that colour right. Just want it to look right. It also has its own delicious umami flavour. And I think another addition I'm going to make is an oxo beef stock cube. I find it easy to crush up the packet like that and then just sprinkle it in like salt. Makes life simpler, and I'm all about making life simpler. So I got all that stirred in, all that extra flavour from the tomato and the stock cube, and I'm going to cover that back up and carry on cooking it for the rest of the hour. Alright, let's have a look at this. That's about an hour into cooking. Let's take that off. It's looking good. Very nice looking. Let me get you tight focus on that. There you go. Very nice looking. Right, there's a couple of things I want to add to this now. I'm going to put in all the potatoes, which are quartered, by the way. And that's what distinguishes it from the Colonial to the actual Indian style cooking, is that we add more or less the ingredients of an Irish stew into it, which is but we don't cook it in the same way as an Irish stew. We cook it like a curry, and then we add these vegetables to it. And at this stage I'm also going to add in my chilies, which I've chopped up. I've left the hottest chilies whole, or sorry, just split down the middle so they can be easily picked out if you don't want to eat them. And it's already starting to look rather good. Right, I want to bring that back up to the boil and then simmer that for about half an hour with the lid on. Okay, I've given it a good few minutes now, and I'm just going to adjust for flavours. Give it a taste. That's good. It needs some salt. It's got a nice heat to it. I'm going to put in about 2 teaspoons of salt, but you judge that yourself by taste. Another thing I want to put in there is 1 teaspoon of sugar. And all that does, it just balances the piquance of the chili peppers. We'll give that a stir and then give it another taste to see where we are. There's still a bit of cooking left to do of those potatoes. Yeah, that's right there on the money. That's really, really nice. That's excellent, in fact. Right, lid on and leave that to just simmer away for another 15-20 minutes until the potatoes are cooked. Alright, apologies for the noise of the dishwasher. Let's lift the lid, see what we're looking like. It's looking good. Potatoes are nice and cooked, fairly soft. Right, I'm going to lift the lid off that and leave the lid off that and allow that to cook off just a little while longer. And I'm also going to add my final flourish of garam masala, which are just sweet spices added at the end. And I'm going to add half a teaspoon like that and stir it in. And then I'll give it a final taste test and see where I am. But it really does look good. That is pretty close to perfection. Okay, another 5 minutes and that'll be ready to serve. So there we have it. Gorgeous Colonial beef curry with spuds, with carrots, and I'm serving it there with just some buttered rice. And I like to garnish everything with a little bit of tomato and a little bit of raw onion, and I think that really goes really well with it. So there we go. Enjoy. Hey friends, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you would like to follow my channel, please subscribe, and don't forget to click the bell icon and select all to receive notifications for all my future videos. It would be great to hear from you in the comments, and I'll try to get back to as many of you as possible. You may wish to check out these titles or even help me out with a donation using the links in the description below the video. Thanks for watching.